So, we're just done with phrasing, right? That's not a thing anymore?
All right, how we doing, everybody? Welcome to another session of Civil War, and we have new layouts, new art, new everything all across the channel here. So buckle in, it's going to be fun, going to be interesting. Tonight's going to be a lot of fun. Give me a second here. Got a lot going on here. We are now in the final 3 sessions of our season finale of Civil War, with both the Empire and Alliance side are going to be on the same night from this point forward on Wednesdays for these 3 sessions. It's going to get a little hairy, going to be a little interesting, going to be curious to see how they handle everything as we go forward. But first, let's kind of cover all of our news. First and foremost, as you see, I have made some adjustments to our stream layout, and there's more to come, as you'll see when we move forward. I wanted to kind of clean things up. I kind of felt that the screen was a little cluttered and everything of that nature. The Rock, thank you very much for the sub, my friend. I wanted to make sure that we had all of that stuff covered, and everything just looks nice now. Nice and clean, nice and easy. After that, I want to get a feel for what you guys think. Do you guys like it? Do you not like it? What do you want to see changed? After the stream, feel free to send us some feedback. If you follow us on Twitter, you can always send us a message there. Let us know what you thought of the layout. I'd be very much appreciative of any feedback you guys give. Aside from that, let's kind of look at the schedule, see what we got. Fate's coming up tomorrow with Shadows of the Tomb Raider. Then we have D&D replay that starts at 8:30 in the morning tomorrow. Should carry through most of the day. It's going to be 3 sessions, so it's going to cover quite a bit of time. It's roughly, I think it's going to be close to 12 hours of gameplay, so you guys can tune in at any time, catch some of that. We also have Ascension that's going to be closing out our weekend on Sunday. And then next week we have Tyranny of Dragons on Tuesday. We have Giants that returns on Wednesday. And Entropy will be playing next Sunday as well. And then don't forget, Civil War is only down to Wednesdays now, so it's going to be returning on Wednesday as we go forward. But with that, let's go ahead and switch this over to our game and get things rolling here.
I'm ready to go.
All right, so last session Lots and lots of things happened. Now that we are taking two split campaigns and merging them together, we've got a lot of ground to cover here tonight. The party started with each of them split into different realms and actually in different times. The Empire, after witnessing the execution of Skytarnith, looked to find answers to Dorn's mysterious relic. However, even with the aid of Mariel Gladamain, the best that she could offer was a translation of the glyphs found on top of the glyph itself. As some time passed, the champions of the Empire would attempt to pull together as much information as they could, looking for a way to stop the prophecy of Tyris the Ascended. Following Mariel to the Shrine of Tyris, the champions would learn of a portal, one that connected their line of elves to a different plane of existence, the material plane belonging to the planet of Eberron. And it was here that, on a small island called Aranel, that the Veritas line, a proud group of followers of the Undying Court, would have a very rich and storied past with the Gladamain family, and all of which would come into focus to our champions. They would ultimately seek to speak with the real Tyris Gladamain, counselor of the Undying Court, and gather a bit of history of their people and the potential power that Tyris the Ascended may actually have. It was here that Freddy was reminded of a letter that he received, and pulling it out, he would read it to the party, ultimately revealing the true identity of Tyris, being that of Kai Gladamain. Taking a moment to collect their thoughts and to deliver the body of Lady Gladamain to her kin in Eberron, they would head back to the city of Kalido and find none other than Eleonora Maester, the woman abducted by Tyris from the city of False Harbor, standing directly before the king. However, time is of the essence, and with only a little more than a day before the prophecy is fulfilled, the champions are now looking for a way to destroy a manifest zone connected to the plane of Mabar. But will it cost the Gladamains their connection to their heritage back on Eberron? For the Alliance, however, their tale begins a far more bit chaotic than the Imperial side. Perhaps by sheer luck, they would attempt some planar travel, but as Pandora grabbed hold of one of the 5 tuning forks in her pouch and ping it, it would send the heroes to the deep ethereal. Unknowing exactly how much time had passed, they learned very quickly as what appeared to be an hour of travel was actually 10, having somewhat adverse effects on their bodies as they made their way through the deep ethereal plane. Eventually, they would find and step through the border ethereal and into the material plane itself, though something was amiss. The heroes would also find themselves within the plane, or within the planet of Eberron, as if destiny had something to say of it. They would meet a man named Teneve Trismora. He was a Sangriloi, a priest of transition of the Irani elves. He and his traveling companion Nock, a magic-wielding warforged construct, awaited permission from Governor Melodith to enter the village of Pylis Tilar. Eventually gaining permission, the party would board an airship and quickly travel to the city of Shemordai, the city of the dead. It was here that they would learn of just how much time had passed, finding out that Mariel and the Empire had already traveled to this realm and delivered the body of Lady Gladamain to have them perform the rite of transition to allow her to become one of the Undying. They would pass a little bit of time attempting to understand the realm a bit more, finding that some of their magic no longer functioned within this new plane of existence. However, if the Empire closes this manifest zone connection to Mabar, how will that impact the Irian zone and their transit back to the Living Isles? And that's actually where we start our session tonight. So, let's give you guys something to look at here. Because maps are fun.
Maps are fun.
So once again, for our Imperial counterparts here, our Alliance counterparts here, you find yourself standing within the Memorial Garden. It's a large public garden. One sec. I had to change music. Large public garden in a sunken amphitheater to the southeast of the city proper. Limestone steps descend down upon the flat surface of the ceremonial garden in the middle of the amphitheater. To the east of the garden, nearing the edge of the dirt, is a mordril tree. Its bark a combination of green, black, and white, with a greenish black colored leaf hanging from it. These leaves often referred to as leaves of death. The purple eternal flames that are collected inside these decorative braziers surrounding the garden itself illuminate the grove and the lawn with a almost eerie colored light. Taneve Trismora, having turned back in your direction after preparing the body of Lady Gladamain for her rite of transition, kind of stops briefly, wiping the sweat from his brow, and with a bit of a tremble in his voice, kind of turns back to you, indicating that the task was complete. As you begin to approach, you quickly notice there are far more individuals now than what there were when you first arrived here. Surrounding the body of Lady Gladamain are 4 priests of transition to bear witness to the ceremony, along with an Undying counselor, which stands somewhat motionless under the Mordril tree. Several elves, presumably members of the Veritas line, surround the podium as well. As you kind of look over the bier, which the body of Lady Gladamain rests atop, you notice somewhat subtle dripping of oils running off her body and kind of rolling off of it and down onto the podium, where a small drainage channel begins to kind of seep all of that out and into the land itself. As you kind of look over her body, you notice it is completely covered in these cloth bandages now, wrapped and soaked in oils and embalming fluids. The body of Lady Gladamain completely covered from the neck down, and various jewels and other adornments cover her body from head to toe. She lies motionless, her eyes closed. Taneve kind of turns and looks in your direction, handing... which of you, actually, I should start with that. Which of you are going to step up and try to talk? As you know, he kind of mentioned that you would be able to speak with Lady Gladamain. Which of you will be the one to do that?
Oh, I'll do it. She's my favorite person in the world.
Okay. So yeah,
I think we lost someone. Never mind.
What?
Okay. Taneve kind of turns and looks at you, and you see he hands you this small bowl as you approach. And as he does, he says, if you're to attempt to speak with S01E, you'll need to take this. It's an herbal and alchemical mixture of the leaves of death. You'll feel a tinge as you consume it, but it should allow you to focus enough to connect with her in this state.
Oh, I don't know what else I was expecting, so... Okay.
Okay.
Should I sit down?
That's entirely up to you.
Alright, I'll drink it.
Okay. So you reach down and take the bowl and kind of bring it to your lips. And as you begin to consume this concoction, the taste of poison begins to overtake your senses, kind of blurring
Son
your
of a
vision.
bitch.
Give me a Constitution save, please. Okay. You stop for a second. It almost knocks you out. Like you take this in, and as soon as you do, you kind of stumble backwards a little bit and you kind of drop the bowl to your side. You notice, the rest of the party notices as Taneve kind of reaches forward and grabs hold of Rylan, kind of expecting this was going to happen. Holds on to him, keeping him kind of standing on his feet. Rylan, as your eyes refocus, voices and sounds all around you just echo through your head. It's kind of disorienting, to be honest. Even if some of these are just whispers, they sound just loud enough to be normal conversation. As you kind of look forward towards Lady Gladamain, her body lies still. However, you notice her head has now turned and is looking in your direction.
Oh, she was alive all along.
As she looks in your direction, you hear kind of reverberating within your head the word "speak."
Oh, I should have sat down. And then he'll kind of focus himself, and then noticing that she's looking at him and being able to parse through all the whispers to hear what she told him, he will probably not approach because it sounds like he's kind of thrown for a loop. But he will talk and say, Lady Gladamain, I have come a very, very far way to ask for any sort of advice about what to do about your son.
As you mention this, a few moments pass, almost as if the undying body, or the deathless body of Lady Gladamain, is trying to process what you're saying. And then a couple moments pass, and you hear, "My son, I know not what you speak."
Oh, here I was hoping... Okay. Kai is Tyris on the Isles. Not here, obviously, but back home. The Empire, the Alliance, do you remember any of this?
As you ask this, you just hear the word yes.
Your son, Kai, was the one orchestrating all of this, including what happened to you and not being able to be revived. He needs to be stopped, and if there's anything you can tell us about any of this, because I certainly didn't expect another world when I set off on this adventure.
Again, a little bit of time kind of passes. She, again, processing all of this, begins to speak once again. And again, it's only coming to you. Nobody around you can hear any of this. And they watch you, the rest of the party behind you, watches you and sees you talking to her, but nothing in front of you. Everybody's just silent. She speaks and says, Counselor Tyris of the Undying Court attempted to help me understand the powers of the fake Tyris. I knew the counselor had no parts in these attacks. He warned me of an insurgence of the Blood of Vol, a group of worshippers towards the power of Mabar from here within Eberron. While they aren't worshippers of the undead or necessarily evil, they look for the divinity within. Most seekers look for power, immortality. A couple seconds pass and she's, again, you kind of watch, and you almost, as you're kind of watching closely, you're noticing her eyes are moving, kind of like twitching, like rapid eye movement, as if she's thinking and trying to sort things out in her head. And she says, if Kai is Tyris, then my visions are what worry me. Especially considering the mark upon his skin.
The one where he was injured, or another mark?
A few seconds pass and she says, the Gladamain hold a power of our lineage called a dragon mark. Generally, the mark only appears to those of high elven heritage. Kai, however, also gained a dragon mark, despite his father being human. Split from a pure elven line often disconnects an individual from a dragon mark, but in Kai's case, the dragon mark became aberrant. While the Veritas line oftentimes gains the mark of shadows, such as Mariel, the aberrant mark means that it was corrupt in nature, but not inherently evil. She stops for a second again, letting all of this process, and continues and says, keeping Kai in the Living Isles, I believed that he would lose his connection to this aberrant dragon mark, as the connection to Eberron cosmology was faint here, save for the manifest zone to Irium. It was difficult to understand the powers of his dragon mark. When he was a child, it took the form of an altered version of the Mark of Shadows. As he grew older, the mark changed. And when I learned of the aberrant nature of the mark, I hid him within the Living Isles for fear that the Death Guard of Eberron would hunt him and kill him.
How do you fight against a dragon mark?
A few seconds pass and she says, each dragon mark has their own unique powers, though limited they may be. A dragon mark doesn't mean that you're of godhood or ultimately powerful. It's just more than common elves or humans of Toril might experience. It is what allowed us to establish the Ebon Spy Syndicate amongst the Living Isles. Our Mark of Shadows, our knowledge of espionage allowed us to establish the organization and make it into what it is today.
But his is corrupted. What does his do?
I fear I do not know.
do you know where the manifest zone is that he would be using?
She pauses for a couple of moments, and you hear a resounding yes.
Can you tell me where it is?
She says, you need 2 maps. Find a map of the Living Isles and find a map of Aranel. Flip them over face to face. If you match the city of Kalido to the city of Shemordai, you will find your location.
I think I might, out of character, be being dumb. So we have to match the 2 cities together, and that's where it is?
She stops and says, we know of a point of return, a point here within Aranel that is connected to Mabar, similar to that of the Living Isles. It is a small island named Tyrannus Real. This is your connecting point to the Living Isles.
I took a stab at it.
Close. Should you look to a map, I can kind of pinpoint, and I can show you the map here in a bit. I can pinpoint where it would be at, and then we can have a conversation as to where it would match up to on your map of the Living Isles.
Good to know. Okay. Rylan just kind of awkwardly looks back at his party. Do you have anything? Am I missing anything that I should ask?
Well,
I think I should ask that if she knows where it is, why hasn't anything been done about it?
About what?
Wait. I think I'm getting things confused. Are we talking about the manifest zone to the Mabar place?
I think they can't do anything about it because then it would ruin the link between Eberron and our world.
Okay.
So, based on the knowledge that you've gathered, you know that if the manifest zone to Mabar is severed in some way, then the elves of the city of the dead, where you're currently at, would lose the Irian connection from Shemordai to Kalido. So that means if one dies, both die, and then that connection is completely severed.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
a lot of souls, guys.
Pandora was gonna say something, I think.
No, I don't have anything. I think you pretty much covered everything we needed.
Okay, Rylan will look back at Lady Gladamine and ask, is there anything I should say to your son, your daughter, the Storm King?
A few moments pass. It actually gets a little awkward in silence as you kind of wait, and then you hear kind kind of in the back of your head, you hear Lady Gladamain say, tell the people of Kalido to stand strong. The road ahead will not be easy. And then you watch as her head again kind of rotates and almost looks directly at you, and says, too much time has passed. The prophecy has been fulfilled. There's no stopping it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was hoping you might not have been able to figure that out.
After a few moments, you notice Taneve kind of steps forward and kind of reaches forward to you and kind of places his hand on your shoulder and says, there's still so much to finish this ceremony.
Of course.
And he says, her Esrani's soul is a bit weary. Perhaps we should allow her to rest.
Yes, of course. Thank you. Thank you for the time.
And again, to the rest of the party, they saw none of this. Like, you were communicating with her, and she was moving and talking to you, and to them, she's been perfectly still the entire time. As you kind of walk back and regroup with the others, what would you guys like to do?
Well, first I'm going to tell them everything that I just learned so that everybody's in on that.
Oh my.
So we need a map, and then we need another map. Unfortunately, we have a map of the Living Isles. The unfortunate case is we're still several days late.
Knock, you, based on your background, would have a map of all of Eberron, which would include the island of Aranel, but you're probably gonna have a hard time finding the island because on most maps of Eberron, it is not a charted island.
Oh, so but I have a map.
Yes, you absolutely have a map of Eberron.
Awesome. I procure the map of Eberron.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know?
I may be of assistance here.
Do you know where this extremely rare island that is barely mapped could be?
No.
Great.
As you kind of speak amongst yourselves, you do see that Taneve has walked back over towards you and kind of reaches forward again, kind of placing his hand on Ryland's shoulder and says, is there something maybe I can be assistance of?
How's your maps?
He looks at you and kind of nods and says they're pretty fair. I'm very well versed in our lands and the islands surrounding Aranel. Is there something specific you're looking for?
We're looking for an island that is not charted on most maps in order to figure out where the manifest point is.
As you say that, he kind of nods and says, may I take a look at your map?
Of course, and he'll hand his map over.
Okay. And as you do, he kind of looks it over and says, well, of course, this is dated many moons before this. The area you're looking for is here. And you watch as he kind of reaches down and points his finger, and it pings right here on the map.
Right there?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. So Rylan will take the map of the Living Islands and kind of try to like cinch up the two cities that he was told to in order to glean the secret meaning behind it.
Invisible ink.
And as you look over the Living Isles, it pinpoints towards the Shrine of Natar to the southwest.
Well, figures a manifest point would have a shrine near it, I suppose. I miss Sky. He would have made some comment.
Well, yeah, he got a bit ahead of himself, though.
Pandora, I think something happened to your mic.
No, he's at his job.
He's at work.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
And then he'll look up at their friend and be like, I don't suppose you know how to turn time backwards.
He looks at you and kind of grins and says, maybe.
Oh,
What?
oh,
Wait, you're being serious? You actually know?
This is the fate of thousands rests in. Don't be coy or don't do anything that will make me angry right now.
He looks at you.
I wouldn't like him when he's angry.
He looks at you and says, I have experimented in many magics. Our line is known for our magical prowess. This is how Tyris Gladamain found his way to the Living Isles. But I've only experimented in small doses. Nothing as profound as multiple days as you would need.
well, it seems there's no better time to try.
I mean, it's only going to get harder the longer we put it off, yes. What can all of us do to help you do this?
He stops and kind of shakes his head and says, that I don't know. This is far more than anything I have ever done. If I'm to attempt something like this, if this goes wrong, I have no idea what this will mean to our realm.
Well, it can't be worse than what has happened to the other realm, right? And there's no better time to find out.
As much as I'm loath to agree with him.
It.
Are you a him?
It.
You know what? I don't.
He's an it.
He's an it.
He's an it. Knock
It's
is an it.
There you go.
It's an it.
There we go.
Yeah.
What needs to be done in order to do this?
He stops and says, magic beyond my own. The Undying Counselors may be of assistance. Perhaps Counselor Tyris may have something that we can do, but there are no guarantees.
There were no guarantees a moment ago. At least there's a chance now. How does one obtain an audience with the Undying Council? Do you just storm in and start yelling very loudly? Like, I don't know, somebody else might?
My friend, I think that is the opposite
Cough,
of how you
cough.
get a council with the Undying.
I know, I was
Where is
making
this these?
You guys already know because you've slowly kind of made your way in there, but you only made it to the library portion of it. But you do know that off to your northeast, over here, is the location of the Hall of the Dead, which is where the Undying Council resides.
So,
Let us go.
do we just go in and ask to talk to him? Do I have to drink more of the stuff? Because next time I am going to sit down first.
He looks at you and says,
You did handle the voices well, though, Rylan. Well done.
He kind of shakes his head and says, no, it's not quite that simple. They speak to you if you are part of their lineage. If you're to speak to Tyris Gladamine, then I must be there.
Well, you are the one required for all of this, so I suppose that makes sense. Shall we?
Okay. So
Shall
you're heading northeast to the Hall of the Dead, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
I just realized now that Avalon is not even here to have gotten that joke.
And that's super unfortunate because I bought as much time as I could before I have to switch over to the Imperial side now.
Let us walk very slowly and talk about all of the things that we're thinking about.
Yes, today
Not
is quite
will
a
stop and
beautiful
smell
day, isn't
every
it?
flower.
This skeleton cake is delicious.
Do you know what they use to make skeleton cake?
I mean, giants also do it. They grind your bones to make the flour.
It just
Yes, but
dropped
it
the game.
requires a very
One sec.
specific tool in order to do it. It's not just a run-of-the-mill mill.
A mortar and pestle.
Yes, but giant-sized.
A mortal
A boulder and
pestle.
tree.
Dear Lord.
All right.
Tag!
Champions of the Empire. You quickly rushed past the Temple of Swords and made your way over towards the King's Chambers. You pushed the door open to reveal Eleonora Maester standing on the other side of the door, directly in front of the King. As your eyes lock upon Eleonora, both a bit of relief and kind of horror strikes you. Is this truly Eleonora? What has Kai done to her mind? And more importantly, why and how is she standing before the king? The guards have been watching closely and haven't allowed her to approach the king for obvious reasons of safety. As you push the door open and seeing her before him, you're obviously left with far more questions than answers. The guards take notice of you, leaving their weapons drawn upon Eleonora, who looks almost as lost and confused as you are, seeing her standing there. Seeing you at the door, Eleonora quickly turns, rushing towards the party, tears rolling down her face as she rushes forward and kind of drops to the ground directly in front of Avalana in tears. What are you guys doing?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Cedric was here when this storyline happened.
That's correct.
So yeah, he's just kind of standing there with sort of bewildered, not sure what is going on.
Dorn isn't sure either.
Well, for the quick recap, for those that were there, basically, our first mission when the party originally went to False Harbor was to find and rescue Eleonora, which we did, kind of, sort of, until Tyris showed up and kind of hijacked the whole thing. Kai, and basically like blew up half the town and pieced out. So like since then, I think we've seen her one other time. That was only when Tyris Kai, whatever, showed up to taunt us. At that point, she was fully enthralled by him. And that's kind of like where we've been at. So like seeing this, Belvedere is kind of like complete shock across his face. And turns and looks at the guards and looks at the king and is like, how long? And where?
Asking Eleonora or the king?
The king or the guards, just like looking at either, like looking at the king or looking at around the guards.
The guards look over at you and just kind of mimic that it's only been a few moments. Seemingly she had just arrived, and having enough knowledge of the king was able to at least gain a meeting with him, though brief as it may be, attempting to explain to him what is going on. What are you guys doing? Guys?
Not that's gonna help much, but I'll use my divine sense to say anything fishy.
Okay. You use your divine sense and notice nothing. Nothing out of place. Nothing that seems out of the ordinary or wrong or anything dangerous coming from Eleonora. Or even anybody in the chamber itself as it reaches 60 feet, so...
Then Eleanor's collapsed in a heap in front of Avalon crying.
Yes. After a few moments, she kind of stops and looks up. Tears still kind of rolling down her cheek, and says, "I never thought I would survive."
Belvedere will kneel down beside her and reach his hand out and just asks quietly, is like, "What survive? What do you remember? And where have you been?"
She kind of shakes her head and says, I don't know. I don't know where this place was. It all felt like a dream." She stops and kind of looks down, almost like down towards Avalana's feet, and says, I thought I could resist his power, but it was more than I anticipated. She looks up and says, "Coterminus is coming. We won't be able to stop him."
Tyris?
Coterminus means that a certain plane of existence is at its most powerful. It is when it's closest or has the biggest impact upon another plane of existence, where a remote plane of existence would have the least power. She's indicating that she's aware of manifest zones, basically.
Well, that's actually why we came by, because we may have figured out where a manifest zone is, but we would need some type of teleportation to get there without the days of travel.
Again, she's kind of in tears and kind of sniffling and trying to get a hold of herself after all of this, and says, it depends on where you're wanting to go. I may know teleportation, but I can't get you anywhere near that.
Well, where's the farthest that you could get us, or at least the closest to it?
She looks up at you and says, where are you wanting me to take you?
It's a far off region to the south of the Crow's Nest.
She thinks for a second and says, I know of a sanctuary between Stormholm Keep and the Cove, but if you're going to the southwest, then you're still at least a day's travel from the sanctuary to the foothills.
Do you know of any other way to get us there faster?
She kind of shakes her head and says, this is the most powerful thing that I have, and this is all I can do. I can bring myself and 5 of you to this sanctuary, but beyond that, I can't get you any closer. The manifest zone is far too powerful and has grown far too much.
You mean it's expanding?
She says yes. It's the Scarlet Hand. They are in great numbers and attempting everything they can to intensify the manifest zone, to siphon the power of the eternal darkness and turn it upon the realm. Its power grows stronger by the moment, and as you get closer, it's going to be worse and harder for you to get by. Your magic is going to be feeble compared to this. She stops and kind of looks down and says, if the prophecy's fulfilled, the next 3 days will be hell and terror upon our land. And she looks at Avalana and kind of points to her hip, where Avalana kind of has the book that Eleonora had. And as she points to it, she says, that book contains every bit of information that I gathered of the connection between Eberron and our world, along with the plains of Labar and Irium. But this was far more than I could have ever imagined it would be. I didn't anticipate them using the power of the Manifest Zone to destroy our realm.
You wouldn't happen to know anything about this relic, would you? She says as she pulls it out.
She looks at it and says, "Yes, I know exactly what that is." And she looks away and says, "Nothing good will come of that. But that is your only way to stop Tyris."
What do you mean? What does it do?
That is your portal to his domain. The domain of the Ascended.
Do you know how to use it?
She shakes her head, says it's a key of sorts. When it is active, you'll know. It will let you know. She kind of looks around the room and says it is not ideal, but perhaps we need to consider waiting until Mabar leaves Coterminus before we attempt to take him on. If we do so now, his power will be far more than you can handle.
It seems like it's our only option.
She kind of looks at you and says, "You can try. Should you still wish to venture to Crow's Nest Cove, I can take you there. And I can show you the way that you're wanting to go. Though, I'm sure your artifact can do that for you."
Dorn's gonna look to the others and to question Mother and what they want to do.
Right now, it seems like going there might be our only option.
It's either we stand around here and wait for the end to come to us, or we go and we meet the end head on. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling like a little more proactive than just wait for it to come to us.
Then if we're going to try to use it, then we should probably prepare. You know, farewells and all that.
We don't have a lot of time. Is the king still sitting there with us, I imagine?
Yeah, he's remaining somewhat quiet. Again, after all of this has taken place, he's just kind of out of it, to be honest.
I'll probably turn to him and just ask, "My king, are you alright?"
He nods, says, "I'm as well as I can anticipate being."
The Belvedere will quickly explain to what they found out in the city of the undead to the king. Sans their revelation of Sakai actually being Tyris. To keep that to himself. But everything else is explained to him, like about the zones and things like that.
Okay. And you're doing this for the king?
Yes.
He nods and appreciates you taking a moment to try to recap what's going on, and says, there's far too much. I don't know how to react. Normally S01E would be doing all of this. And his voice kind of trails off. And you watch as Eleonora kind of pulls herself up and kind of starts walking towards the king, stopping several feet in front of him, making sure not to kind of gather the attention of the guards, and drops directly to the ground in front of him and says, I wish there was more that I could have done to stop this. I'm sorry that I have let you down. And the king kind of looks at her and kind of shakes his head. And then kind of looks away. And as he looks away, you watch as back behind you, Mariel kind of walks through, kind of pushing her way in, trying to make her way forward. And as she does, she reaches down, kind of grabbing hold of Eleonora and helping her back to her feet, and says, now's not the time for you to feel bad of yourself. You need to help them. You need to do whatever you can do. You need to get them there now. This cannot continue. And a couple moments pass and she stops and kind of looks back over at the party, and then looks back over at Mariel and kind of gives her a slight nod, and turns and walks towards you. Just kind of clears her throat for a second and says, I don't know what else I can do. I don't know. I can give you all the information that I know. I can tell you that if you're attempting to get rid of a manifest zone, that's simply not something you have the power to do. She kind of stops and shrugs and says, I know that if you could, the connections here within Kalido would be no longer. And as she says that, Mariel kind of looks at her and says, what do you mean, no longer? And she stops and says, the two require each other to be powered. Even if we had the power to create the Eldritch machines that would be required to block this connection, it would destroy the very fabric of our connection entirely. And she kind of points over in the direction of the shrine and says, we would lose everything that we know. That means that your connection to your elders, your connection to your faith, your connection to your mother, that's all gone. All of it. Hey, Avalana's here.
Hello.
So, to do a quick recap, since you were here, you've been talking to Eleonora. Eleonora's kind of explained that she knows a lot about all of this that's going on, everything that has to do with the Manifest Zone, with the Gladamain's connection to Eberron. All of this, she is aware of it, as she was tasked to undertake this research and understanding by the Gladamain family itself. She explained that, yes, she's powerful and can teleport you, but with only a day left before the prophecy is fulfilled, she won't be able to drop you where you want to go due to the growing strength of the Mabar Manifest Zone. She explained that she knows of a sanctuary that she could drop you to between Stormholm Keep, just outside of Crow's Nest Cove, but it's still going to require at least another day of walking, traveling to reach the foothills that you are looking to go to. And she explained that destroying a Manifest Zone isn't simple. Basic magic is not something that's going to just make it go away. It's something that within Eberron required eldritch machines known as they're basically just seals that would kind of seal off or gate off the connection to other planes of existence. Would be the only thing that could stop them, but that isn't something that's feasible in this situation. You do not have that kind of time to build, let alone the technology to do so.
Has anyone insight checked her?
Belvedere did a divine sense and sensed nothing evil or negative from her. But nobody has insight checked her.
Can I insight check her?
Absolutely. She also explained that that book that you have, the one that she had, contained all of the information she had gathered from Eberron pertaining to the Manifest Zones and the other planes of existence and their connection to the Living Isles. As you kind of watch and listen over all of this, you 100% believe it. There is nothing in the way she is conducting herself or speaking or saying that seems out of place. In fact, she legitimately feels bad because she feels like she should have been able to do more than she did. And even after Mariel kind of told her it's not the time to feel sorry for yourself, you have to take them and do what they need to see what can be done, that felt legitimate, all of it.
Okay. And no one's mentioned Kai at all, right? Because the king's right there.
Nope.
Correct.
I made sure when I did to explain the situation to the king to not bring up guys. So
even though Mariel is aware, she even hasn't said anything to him.
when we discussed that, I even asked for her opinion. She was like, "Yeah, no, don't say anything to him."
But Eleonora hasn't mentioned that she knows who Tyris is or anything like that.
Does she? Well, I haven't brought it up.
Ellen, that hasn't been asked to her, no. So if that's what you're wanting to ask her, you would have to do so. But no, that's not something that has been brought up.
I'm gonna wait till the king's not around, of course.
Okay.
I am gonna, since I believe her, I'm gonna go up and hug her. Be like, I'm so happy to see you again. Safe.
And just so you have a full grasp of what happened, when they first saw you, she immediately turned and ran over to you and collapsed directly at your feet and was just bawling her eyes out in front of you.
Oh.
And then she stood up, turned back to the king, was talking to the king. Mariel got her to kind of snap out of feeling sorry for herself, and she's now in front of you. So yeah, you walk up and give her a hug. Fine. But yeah, since you didn't catch that part of it from before.
Okay. All cut up now. Thank you.
Hush, Pandora is trying to steal Salty Thunder.
I'm just trying to help Salt get the fanfic going.
Okay. So what is the plan?
I think the only thing we really can do is try to go there. Other than that, we just wait.
Well, I think if we go there, we need to at least have an idea of how to cut down that day of travel. Because we don't want to be over there when Tyris is having his big show here.
Is that a day of travel on foot?
It is a day of travel on foot, but even if you traveled by wagon or such, it's still going to take quite a bit of time. I mean, you're talking, even if you went all evening and just kept walking until you passed out, then you would probably be there in one day. You're probably closer to like an 8-hour or so travel time from Crow's Nest Cove to there. If you are on like, say, your camel and a wagon or something.
What would it be by boat?
Pretty close to the same, possibly longer, because you're still going to have to make your way around from Kalido to Crow's Nest Cove, which would take you about a day to get around the island to there, and then you're still going to be traveling on foot from Crow's Nest Cove. So let's pull up that map real quick. So yeah, your starting point's way up here to the north, and you would be traveling all the way over here. And then you're still traveling almost or more than a day's worth of normal travel. That's if you're pushing yourself. You're going, you could probably get there under probably 18 hours of walking from Crow's Nest Cove to there.
I do have 3 level 4 slots of polymorph. I don't know exactly how that works, but could I turn 3 of us into birds?
We can fly. I got it too. I got polymorph.
You could possibly do that, yes. And try to fly and get closer.
We could do it.
But we would need to pick a bird that can fly really fast.
And you would need to get closer to be able to do so. I mean, get closer to be able for it to actually matter, because either way, you're still going to get tired flying as a bird from Kalido to there. So
well,
you would still want to.
From Crow's Cove,
yeah.
is what I'm thinking.
Yep.
They're out of character. And not really good spell.
Out of character, what is it?
It's what's it called? Basically turns everyone in, like the party into like clouds that can like fly really fast.
Oh, but you have to be like a druid.
Are you talking about gaseous form?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he is.
They have like 10 feet flying speed.
Yeah.
No, that's specifically it's a druid spell that's specifically designed to
Windwalk, I
catch.
think.
Yeah, but you guys don't have a druid, so.
We're a bard, yo.
We're only up to level 4 spells, man.
I mean, like one walk is like level 5, isn't it?
Probably, yeah.
You're not 5th level spells, man. They're level 9. Anyway.
Alright. So, is that the plan, that you're going to teleport with Eleonora to her sanctuary that she has outside of Crow's Nest Cove, and then try to morph and make your way there?
Well, is there like a list of birds we can look at to see how fast we can become?
Maybe the beast
Falcon.
ones.
Become the majestic penguin.
That'll do. You could surf.
You could search for birds on D&D Beyond, or
It's-
things with a flying speed.
I
And
know the
then-
fastest bird.
And then there is a requirement too on what your CR is, so you can only use certain ones based on the CR level. So depending on what that spell is, what is the CR level that you can do up to?
Probably an owl.
What's the CR of a hawk?
It's really low. We could do it.
Because,
0.
yeah, the fastest bird in existence is the peregrine falcon, and
Well, it needs to be something in game, yeah.
y-
As long as it's something in game and falls within that CR. So, you should be able to look at the spell. There you go. Creature does not. Maybe it does not have a CR requirement.
The new form can be any beast whose challenge rating is equal to or less than the target's or target level if it doesn't have a challenge rating. So you can turn into
CR9 or
are we?
lower.
Yeah, CR9 or lower.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, both the owl and the hawk have a fly of 60 feet.
There you go.
what level's a giant eagle? Like, what CR is that?
1.
It has to be a beast, remember?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, movement type, fly. Here is. I'll post it in the floor chat. So you can click on that link. That would be CR9 or lower, and has fly speed. So you can look through those.
And
But it can't
looking
be
at
elementals. It can only be beasts. So you can
looking at
also
the spell, it only lasts an hour.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, hopefully you can choose something that gets you there in an hour.
We could try asking Kai.
Oh, wait.
Well, if it's flying speed is 60 feet, that's in 6 seconds, so its speed is 10 feet per second.
And it's roughly 60 miles from where the sanctuary is to there, to the foothills.
Well, I have the spell, so whatever you guys decide, I'll spell it.
If only you guys picked up Volo's Guide to Dinosaurs.
What?
You could turn into a Quetzalcoatlus, and that has a flight speed of 80. And it's big, so
Mhm.
some of you could even ride it.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I roll to see if I know what a.
You
'cause I'm a
wouldn't know that.
bard.
You wouldn't know what that is. You've never been to Chult.
Just doing some quick maths. The flying speed is 6.8 miles per hour
So
for
you
the hawk.
Yeah, so you would get a tenth of the way there.
But if you're dashing, it's double that.
Mm-hmm. So
But that's
a
still not
fifth of the
enough.
way there, yeah.
Rip.
Does anyone know of anything that can fly us there without the use of a polymorph? Like maybe a broom, carpet?
Did we ever talk to Dingle or Bingo?
Maybe an amulet of interplanar travel.
Maybe.
No, I can't recommend that, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Forge. Yeah, cool.
The people
That's
that
fine.
need the airship don't have access to the
I
airship.
know. I also, I just...
First of all, we also need this airship.
Yeah, we do.
We need it far more than they do.
So,
I know of a boat that could have taken them somewhere.
Yeah, it's my
Uh-huh.
boat now, pal. I also don't want to be that person, but I just read polymorph is concentration.
Mm-hmm.
You could only have 2 of you flying at once.
Yep, that's true. Because you have to focus on one person at a time. That's true.
I mean, we could both do giant owls, and maybe somebody could ride us.
I mean, they could be giant eagles, yeah. 16 strength
It's
would be enough to carry
eagles.
someone. It's the eagles!
It's the Eagles.
Quick, everyone race change to halfling.
Did we ever talk to Bingo?
No, not yet.
Nope. You haven't talked to Bingo.
Do we maybe want to take Eleonora and talk to Bingo? Maybe he has something.
I mean, you did just go and visit him, so...
Well, he might have been hiding something. We didn't try that hard, and we weren't looking for something to travel across the world.
You can try.
I'm grasping at straws, man. Also, everybody, I have a bag of beans. So, there's that.
Throw all
The
of them
bean.
immediately.
You eat them and then you fart your way there. That's how I do.
I told them whenever I first introduced the beans, I half expected Avalana to take the bag and just dump it out on top of the counter and have it explode.
Dude, you won't.
She didn't flip it over, so... Okay, so what are you guys doing?
I guess let's go talk to Bingo.
Okay. As the party turns and starts heading out, Cedric, you feel somebody place their hand upon your shoulder and kind of slowly turn you around. And as you turn and look, it's Mariel standing in front of you. As you turn, you notice that she has kind of placed her palms in an upright position and a sword rests upon it. She kind of looks at you, kind of bracing this scimitar in the air, and says, My mother would have wanted you to have this. Your people, all they have done for us, and to help to smooth over the relations with the dragon folk. She revered your family very much. She says, I know this isn't much, but I can assure you, based on where you're going, you are certainly going to need this. The Undying Soldiers and the Death Guard often wield this weapon, so it will have a bit of a connection to the Undying Court and make it a bit stronger than any weapon you've ever held in your entire life.
I don't think he's here.
Oh,
Rylan will take it.
Rylan runs in and grabs it and says thanks, and then runs out.
No! Where is he?
That's what I do. I steal swords.
Of
Yeah.
course, he goes steps away.
Over there.
Okay, go ahead.
I over the sword recognize what it is.
You don't recognize it because it's magic that you're not familiar with, but your divine sense is glowing off this thing in a positive way.
Good.
Good.
It's actually skin tarnished in there.
We said not evil.
Okay.
I mean, you consider benign evil.
We'll come back to that. The rest of you have choices to make. What do you do with... So, okay, to start, you can transport up to 5 people, not including... Or that's including Eleonora. So, or not including Eleonora. Not including her, because you can still transport up to 6 total. So the 4 of you, 1 person remains. Do you want to bring anybody with you?
Bingo.
Well, bring Kai. He's always been such a useful ally in all of this.
Your choices currently, if you wanted to bring somebody that you know you can take, is Freddy, Mariel, and King Stormholm.
Well, we can't risk Mariel or King Stormholm.
And Freddy's a non-combatant.
Yep.
Bring Kai.
Don't bring the Storm King. That's not a reunion I want to have.
Actually, I thought Mariel was going to come with us.
That's
Possibly.
possible. You have the options. There are 3 people in front of you. If you want to, or there the possibility of bringing 3 people with you, or 1 person with you. Out of the 3, if you wanted to, you could. If not,
We had asked her last session. We had actually suggested that she come with us for her own safety, and she said no. She needed to stay there to protect the people.
No,
No, we
you-
asked her to stay.
you
in
asked
the
her to
dead
s-
place.
yeah, you asked her to stay in Shame or Die, and she said no, her people required her to be here.
Yeah, no, it was after we figured out it was the Shrine of Natars where we're gonna head to, and coming with us.
Okay. So that means that you're not going to ask her. Yes. So then she would stay in the city?
Honestly, she's about the only one that I would really think to bring with us in this situation. As this, we're already not telling the king all the information we have right now.
I don't think we should bring any of them because King Stormholm, I can't see him fighting in the condition he is in. Mariel's too important to her city. And then Freddy's too precious.
Actually, let's
Send the precious boy.
ask them if they know if they want anyone else to go with this. If they think that somebody would be, good to go.
As Salamir shows back up here. Hey guys, how's it going?
Have you guys considered raising Sky Tarnith and bringing him?
Please.
No,
No.
I have raised dead.
his body's floating in the water.
Yeah, his body's in the water. You aren't finding it.
Rip.
Okay.
Just saying I
So-
have it.
So, if you want to ask somebody, you can. If not, that's fine. Just tell me one way or another what you're doing.
Dorn's gonna ask, since Mariel and the king are both there, if either one of them will want to come, or if they know someone that should go with us. to help this fight.
King Stormholm is somewhat not receptive to it. You watch as he has his own magical prowess as well, so he kind of sits in this chair and he's like kind of flicking his fingers a little bit and creating a small flame above his hand. But as he does so, he just kind of shakes his head and says, I don't believe I would be any assistance to you. I'm sorry. I can't focus enough to do so. And as you kind of turn to Mariel, you notice the markings on her face glowing pretty intensely. She says, I want to go, but I have to get the militia prepared. We don't know what is coming, and I want to have our people on guard in case anything goes wrong. And she looks at all of you and says, not that I don't believe you're capable individuals, but this is a threat I cannot take lightly.
Told ya.
And Freddy kind of looks up and says, I can go. I may not be able to help you much. I don't know, maybe I can help you solve riddles or something. I don't know. But I do know that I can't do much to fight. I'm not good with a sword.
I just want to pinch his cheeks.
I will hate everybody on your team forever if you get that boy killed.
Bring
I don't wanna-
Jeff! Bring Jeff!
Then I guess this is it. We should, prepare ourselves and get on our way then, because time is of the essence.
Okay. Next decision. Mariel stays in Kalido.
Wait, are we bringing Freddy? Because I don't want to.
I don't think so.
Okay, good.
Unless that's what you were meaning, Dorn. But I took that as you didn't want to bring him.
Yeah, I don't want everyone else pissed off because he's gonna probably die.
Gets instantly one shot.
Do you leave? Do you leave King Stormholm in Kalido? Do you have him escorted to safety within Stormholm Keep to help to prepare the militia? And what do you do with Freddy? Where does he go?
Okay, guys, are we talking out of your shot of King Stormholm at the moment?
You're at the doorway right now. It's still inside the building.
We gotta
Stormholm
think.
should probably head back to Stormholm Keep.
But the thing is Tyris killed Lady Gladamain, so would he kill Stormholm? So would it be just safer to keep him here, where he can be watched by everyone?
He traveled in incognito the entire time through the city of Kalido, and everybody knew him. Nobody paid any attention. Nobody cared. So, is it really any more safe than any other city or village?
I believe it's kind of beyond the point. Regardless of where they're at, they're going to be in some sort of danger. It's probably, if the king's up for it, better for him to return to the keep and begin rallying the forces there to defend.
At this point, you kind of get the impression that King Stormholm's not fully capable of making many decisions on his own, but if somebody was guiding him along or helping him to know what he should do, or giving him a path, he could probably do so with no issue.
Freddy!
Sending Freddy with him?
I'll have Freddy stay with him.
Okay. And keep him here or sending him to the keep?
Might as well just send him home, I guess.
Seems like it'd probably be for the best.
Okay. So everybody starts to get themselves prepared. I have one last question. On both sides, which of you ever put on one of the Scarlet Hand amulets?
Pandora absolutely would never have.
I think Skytarnath did,
Yes,
but
did.
that
He's
doesn't.
already dead. Mm-hmm.
I don't think Dorn has one.
No.
Do you mean like those, the fire pendant?
The cultist
No,
amulets.
it was the cultists.
Oh,
Pandora went out of her way to deface
Yeah, we burned those.
everything
Mm-hmm.
that had to do with them, so she never put one on.
However, our
I think
Imperial
Formosh
friends,
put one on, but I don't remember.
people disguised themselves. Who disguised themselves?
Us.
We were all wearing the cloaks. I don't remember if we had enough of the amulets. The only one I remember putting one on distinctly was Formash.
Yeah, Vormosh put one on. I just put on the cloaks.
Okay. Okay. So.
We only ever had the one, and he was the only one to put it on.
No.
Yeah, you only mentioned us finding one amulet, I think.
No, all of them had these amulets around their necks, but they weren't fancy ones. They were just kind of generic ones with the emblem on it. It wasn't. There was one that was super fancy that you guys took, and I think that's probably the one that Vormosh put on. But all of the regular cultists had an amulet.
Oh
Yeah. So I'll go back to the conversation that we had when Cedric stepped away. Cedric, moment before this, as you guys are turning now and getting ready to head out the door, you feel a hand kind of placed upon your shoulder and kind of pull you around. And as you turn, you notice that it's Mariel standing before your hands facing palm up, with a scimitar kind of braced in the air. And she kind of steps forward to you and says, "My mother would have wanted you to have this. Your family has done so much for our people here and for the dragon folk. I wasn't sure exactly how we could repay you for your family once again putting their lives on the line to save our people." And she kind of looks down at the sword and says, "The undying soldiers and death guard of Eberron wield weapons just like this. They say it has a connection to the Undying Court, one that's very strong, and with even more so with the scimitar over any other weapon from our realm." And she kind of reaches it forward and hands it to you. I don't hear you, Ark. Nope. His mic's broken, unfortunately. I'm gonna buy him a new mic. That's what I'm gonna do. Just buy him a mic. Nope, can't hear you, bud.
Yikes.
That's not good.
Yeah. Go ahead and disconnect and reconnect real quick. See if we can't fix this.
Hello?
Oh, there you go. Now you work.
These mics today.
Or
I've been
lack thereof.
switching between 3 ones.
Nope. All right. So, yeah, she's standing in front of you holding the sword in the air.
So, Cedric will kind of take the scimitar and look it over before nodding his head and thanking Mariel.
Okay. And as you do, she kind of smiles and says again, this is a small bit of gratitude that I can give to you for everything that you and your family have done. I hope that it serves you well, especially where you are going. if you would like to have somebody identify that, you certainly could.
I can identify it.
Sure.
As you guys are doing that, however, or before you do that? Yeah, before you do that. Eleonora begins to lead the party outside as she begins to prepare to cast this spell that she calls the Word of Recall to teleport
We
you.
haven't figured out how to get there yet.
Thought you said you were going to Crow's Nest Cove and then going to figure it out after.
Did we say that?
Is that
No,
not?
we're gonna go talk to what's his face first.
Oh, to Bingo, right? Okay, then yeah, we'll wait on that. Instead, however, as you walk outside and start making your way towards the market, without warning, a violent, earth-shattering tremor ripples across the ground, and a crackle echoes through the air. Your attention is drawn to the sky, off to the southeast, as a dark, ominous black ring rapidly expands off in the distance. The crackling sky turns silent and the air still. Then the sound of disembodied undead groan shortly behind, and a shrill, terrifying roar follows directly after. And with that, we're going to move back to our other friends on the other side.
Okay.
Oh, what a shame. We are unable to return to Toril. Wow, that really sucks.
That's unfortunate.
You guys better get your asses back here.
So does the portal to return have to be accompanied by the screams of the damned?
That's already happened.
Yeah, I know. I'm just making.
So yes.
See, this was our plan all along to win the Civil War. We unleash the undead and then just disappear for a couple of years and come back to clean up the mess.
Just leave the entire plane of existence. Like,
this is what the follow-up session is. We've been in hiding for many years, waiting for a chance to take back the Isles, and probably most of Toril at that point.
All right, so you guys are going to the Hall of the Dead. Is that correct?
Yes.
And we're gonna
Yes,
talk to Tyris, except the actual Tyris, not fake McBad Tyris.
Fake McBad Tyris, okay.
Eloquent as always, my friend.
He's a bird. He's not a owl. I know what I said. Shut up.
He's a bird, not an owl.
Knock, may I ask a favor?
no.
Stay
Well-
outside then.
Yes, well... What is this favor? What does that mean?
Just when we get in, just don't talk loud or at all.
Try
I
not
am
to touch anything.
not a stealth warforged. I am not specialized.
Wait, hold on. Perhaps I may communicate with our stoned friend here. If Council of Dead present, then speak equals 0.
Ah, yeah,
Oh,
okay.
snap.
I understand.
Huh.
Those are some hidden depths I didn't think you were quite possible of, Lorigus.
You surprise
Haha.
us.
Alt F4.
As it be.
All right, so yeah, you make your way back inside here. Looking back within, seeing the same kind of scene that you had seen before as you were in here.
I'll cast light on my chest plate again.
Okay. What's the distance?
Yes, that's a number.
I think it's 20.
Yeah. Hold on.
Click light. There you go. 20-foot radius and dim for an additional 20. So 40 feet total. Okay. Oh, and I should get... Yeah, I'm gonna take one of these guys and just drop him here, because he's gonna be our guide. Because I don't have any of... I don't remember what token I used on the other one. So yeah, you make your way back into the Hall of the Dead. Kind of seeing all of this before you. It's... you remember as you were coming in here, this is where all of the articles of every individual who has ever lived and become part of the Undying, their history is here. The books that reach 100 feet into the ceiling on these bookshelves, going from end to end across the room. Taneve kind of motions for you and begins leading you forward, kind of leading you back towards the next hallway here. I need a second here, one sec. I need to pull something up from the other game. As he kind of leads you forward, he brings you back towards the other doorway here. As you look in, you notice on the sides of this chamber, there are literally hundreds upon hundreds of statues that line these walls. Let me find this. Again, trying to find just specific things that we had already written. Sorry, I'm looking for... Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so this one, as you're kind of led forward into the next chambers, again, silently, as Taneve begins to guide you back towards the back part of the chambers, you're noticing there are more commoners amongst these. Some dressed in somewhat normal attire, others dressed in some ornate robes and such, leading you to believe that some of them are nobles of their respective line of elves. As he kind of leads you back again, keeping pretty quiet, you're watching and looking ahead, noticing all of the statues, and each one at the bottom of each of the statues is a name and the person's date of birth and date of death, and then below it the deed in which they were immortalized by these statues that stack 4 high, and these statues stand about 10 feet tall and cover almost the entire outer walls of this chamber itself. You watch as he continues bringing you back towards the back, noticing several of the Undying soldiers kind of standing guard at the side of each one of the chambers, kind of watching over, making sure that things do not get interrupted. Again, Taneve just continuing forward, not saying a word, just leading straight back. Nobody seemed to pay any mind to him as he moves forward, making his way straight to the back towards the council chambers to the far north. The doors already open as he begins to walk forward, and as he steps in, he kind of motions, mostly for Rylan, but for everybody else as well. And you take notice of the dozens of Undying counselors that stand within this chamber. After a couple of moments, you notice that Taneve stops and starts looking around as if he's looking for somebody, and then shakes his head, and as he turns and starts walking away, he makes his way back to the hallway, and he kind of glances down at the end of the hall and takes notice of one of the counselors that's approaching down at the end of the hall, and he quickly turns and makes his way over. As he stops and stands before the counselor. The counselor looks at him, and almost in like a zombie-esque kind of state, just kind of looking him over. And you watch as Taneve kind of leans forward a little bit, kind of focusing very intently, and then stops and kind of leans back. And then the counselor leans forward and then slowly leans back. And after he does, Taneve kind of turns to you, and specifically to Rylan, and says, Rylan, this is Counselor Tyris Gladimate.
Rylan will bow his head politely.
As you do, you watch as the body of Tyris kind of leans forward, and as he does, piercing into your head, you hear a voice, a disembodied voice that says, "What brings you to our council?" As he does this, you get this sense that it's speaking to you through telepathy.
Oh, okay.
Is Tyris the one you mentioned before?
What did I just...
Remember, if Council of Dead equals present, talk equals 0.
It's a different one. Rylan will say, we came from the Living Isles, and we need to go back in order to stop a calamity from happening, but we're a few days late. We were hoping you could lend us your ability to help us go back in time.
He stops, just looking in your direction, kind of motionless, and then again he leans forward, focusing, and again kind of piercing into your head. You hear, "Time flows forward, flowing backwards unravels the mysteries of our realm."
People's lives are at stake, and I'm sworn to protect them.
He leans forward and says, "People's lives are always at stake, and there's always somebody sworn to protect them."
Damn, that's a good line.
This guy should be the real Tyris. Wait, he is.
He is.
Yep.
He leans forward again and says, "My connection to your realm was mistake. Did not mean to transition between our realm to yours. My mistake will cost lives. My mistake created the rift, the one that allows Mabar and Irion to touch your world.
Then you should help us make it right."
He leans forward and says, "My magic cannot make this right."
Rylan will look at Tyrion and just say, what would you need from him?
Taneve.
Sorry, yeah. There's a lot of names going on.
There are a lot of names. Taneve looks at you and says, "I just need his presence to guide me, to show me the right path. If he fears it will cost too much, he has an obligation to reject it. We can try, and I can try without him, but there's no guarantee that he will support this idea.
Why will he not support the idea?
He fears that something will unravel.
Like what?
I imagine time. I'm not magical.
He kind of looks at you and he says, no, he doesn't fear time will unravel. He fears the powers of Irion, which reside within our city here, will unravel, causing all of the Undying Council to perish.
Oh.
Okay, that might be a hard sell.
But they're undying.
And he looks
Counselor
at you.
equals here something zero, you. Rylan will look back at Tyris and say, respectfully, Councilman, those in danger are worth the risk to me, and I will ask him to perform this without your help. But there's a greater chance of success if you aid him.
He leans forward. Again, kind of piercing into your head, you hear, I cannot stop you from your choices. But consider this. When I first arrived to your realm, I knew not of the Mabar connection that was caused by the rift. It wasn't until the death plague spread across the Living Isles, during Coterminus, many years after we had arrived. The Living Isles have been wiped time and time again, though each time the peoples become more resilient. If you are to travel and go back in time, the powers of Irion, if they are wiped out of existence, will no longer counterbalance Mabar. And that power that the people have already gained will be lost. And then he stops and leans back for a second, and then leans back forward to you again and says, the choice is yours to make. I only ask that you consider all options before you destroy our realm. And with that, he turns back, looking back over to Taneve, doing the same thing, leaning forward and speaking with him. And then Taneve doing the same and replying to him before Tyris begins to slowly make his way back into the other chambers.
So, what did he call me?
He shook his head and said, he didn't call you anything. The counselors are respectful, even of the short-lived such as yourself. We have been in existence for far longer than you could imagine. Our people live for hundreds of years, and it's not uncommon to see this type of thing happen every 15 to 20 years when Coterminus is getting at its peak. He looks at you and says, you're not the first to ask a request such as this. But thus far we have not been successful, and every attempt that we make causes other things to go in a way we didn't expect. Should we go back in time, there's no guarantee the duration and time in which you will go back. And even still, you are still standing within our chambers here. You still have to find your way home. And if this unravels the power of Irion, your portal back home is gone.
Maybe the...
We don't hear any of this, right? Except for Rylan.
Oh no, he's speaking in a hushed tone to all of you right now. This is just to Neve talking.
Okay.
Maybe
Well-
not everyone is dead yet.
There are 3 of you who would be stuck here. The rest of us are home fine.
Do you know that when I undertook this quest, I didn't quite understand my reason for being here, and I just went along with it because that's what I do. And eventually, I made my way into this tomb and talked to a very old ghost. And I was offered a choice then to take an item of great power that would be required to stop the very thing that we're all fighting against. But in doing so, I would unleash a Dracolich on the world. A Dracolich that had been sealed away after terrorizing the Isles, my home. It's where the sole remaining member of my family is alive. I can't stay here and leave
No.
them to face that.
Also, I can't stay here. I have no magic.
I've made an oath to our counterparts that I would stand with them, and I made an oath long, long ago that I would protect the people of the Isles. And as risky as it is, I have to go back and uphold my word. So whatever you need to do to prepare this ritual, let's see it done.
I have a question.
Yes, knock.
What's a family?
Pandora lets out the just.
Thank you for ruining my moment there, Snow.
Taneve looks at you and nods and says, then we must away, and we must do this at once. Our powers here are strongest the closer we are to the manifest zones, and teleportation gives us that option. I think now is as good a time as any, and we should go and attempt to make this happen.
Whatever happens, you have my thanks. And my undying
Mine as
gratitude
well.
for at least making the attempt. Knowing what the risks are.
He nods and says, if at any time I believe that this is going to cause harm to our realm, I will stop immediately. And whatever happens, I will not be responsible for.
Then let us proceed with your conscience clear.
And he immediately starts moving up the hall, and at a very, very brisk pace, attempting to make his way closer to the manifest zone. You watch as he reaches forward, pulling a lever, and this bookcase in front of him opens up, allowing him... oh, did the door close?
Yep, we don't know where he went.
Oh, forward into the chamber. Hey, how do you not see him? Go back up.
Yeah, which chamber?
You are up here.
The Undead Council
No,
chamber?
over here. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Hold on. Over here. Yep.
Okay.
Lorgus is.
Alright, I got you.
Yeah,
He went too fast.
He's running, pulls the lever, unveiling a
Super
passageway,
important.
attempting to make his way back. And you continue following him all the way to the back of this chamber as he makes his way in here, kind of ushering the others to quickly leave, and they go in the opposite direction, passing by you and heading towards the other chambers, just kind of getting away from where you were at. And you hear his voice at the end of the hall saying, "Hurry, hurry, we need to do this at once."
My computer's lagging. I can't see where he went. I'm in the wrong chamber.
Us following him is basically an example of how aggro in video games works.
Go north. Knock.
I'm trying. I'm trying. My computer is lagging. I'll do it.
It's go right over here.
All the way up top.
Oh, I did. Okay, cool.
Next hallway up.
Damn it. Thank you. I see it from there.
So you make your way into this kind of round chamber. You notice these 3 portals that lay on the ground, glowing of this brilliant light, unlike anything you've ever seen, making the chamber itself almost hard to kind of stand in because of how brilliant this light is. He kind of looks around and looks specifically at Rylan, reaching down to his pouch and pulling out, or kind of as he reaches to his pouch, he says, "For what it's worth, I need you to have this. Consider it a token of our gratitude for wanting to keep the peace amongst the people of the Living Isles." And as he pulls his hand out, you notice he pulls out this silver gauntlet that is engraved and covered in fine jewels, and he hands it forward to you.
Okay. I will accept this and look at it, turn it over, and then what does it do?
He looks at you and kind of grins and says, "You seem like the kind of man that would need something like this. Just trust me."
Okay.
And it goes onto your shield hand.
Okay, I will put it on my shield hand.
Your arm falls off.
He looks over at Nock and says, "Well, my friend, are you prepared for this?"
As prepared as I'll ever be. I guess this is the next stop on my journey. Maybe I'll see you again. Hopefully I'll see you again. Or maybe not. I really don't care.
Ouch.
Oh, just a moment ruiner.
He kind of looks and just kind of shakes his head and looks back at the party and says, "Okay, give me a second to prepare." And as he does, he kind of lowers his head. Oh, you gonna say something?
No, go ahead.
Okay. He kind of lowers his head, beginning this seance, attempting to perform this like time-bending spell. And as he does, you start to hear footsteps coming up the hallway itself, off to your west. And as you kind of look over, you notice once again the body of Counselor Tyris steps forward, and just watches from where he stands. This gets to Neve's attention, and he stops and looks up for a second, lowers his head again, and continues the seance. "I need all 4 of you to give me a D10 roll."
Oh, good. I thought he was going to ask for initiative.
Fighting Tyris again?
He is pretty damn powerful, though.
Oh, great.
Oh, dear Lord. Pandora, roll a 10.
Okay, here I go.
Close enough.
Okay. Okay.
Do we doom an entire realm to something?
One thing before we start.
Okay.
Gentlemen, if we make it through this, we'll be friends, bonded by trauma. Ready?
I do not know what friend is, but sure.
Just be quiet.
She-
just let
she-
the moment
she's-
happen.
She sighs again and she says, I never thought I'd say I would miss Gaetara. I could at least kill him.
I know. And Erinu will, or Rylan, God, I have too many characters. Rylan will kind of hold Pandora's hand.
Off to the side, I'm going to try and explain multiple things to Nock.
Now isn't the time.
Are you really trying to teach Johnny Five how to be alive?
As you're standing here, he begins a seance. It gets deeper and deeper into it, and suddenly you feel weightless. You feel displaced. You return back. Your vision starts coming back, and as it does, you look around you, and yes, you still stand in the chambers where you had originally started this spell. However, the two elves that were in here before are back into this chamber. The body of Tyris is gone. And you stand here and you look around. The spell didn't go astray. In fact, it worked perfectly. He stops and looks over at the others, noticing that the teleportation circles that are around the chamber are still lit like they normally would be. He quickly rushes over, looking over to the other priests of transition that are within this chamber, kind of speaking to them very hushed tones. And then he stops and kind of smiles and grins and looks back at you and says, "We did it."
You did it.
Time travel in D&D is the best.
He looks at you and says, It's not much, but it's something.
We went back 10 minutes.
In
Proof of
hindsight,
concept.
we could have gone back far enough to have prevented Kai from even doing this.
He looks at you and says, doing math here in my head, or attempting to do math in my head. 10, 20.
If we could do
We
this,
could have gone back far enough to kick Lady Gladamane in her stomach while she
Whoa,
was carrying.
whoa,
Okay.
whoa.
we can go
he
back
looks
and
at
save
you.
Prod.
He looks at you and says, We're more than 2 days back. By my estimates, we're at almost 54 hours ago.
I was waiting for you to say
How long?
10,000 years.
Wait so how many days ahead were we?
You jumped 3 days ahead.
Which means going back 2 days means that because they had a day, because we left the day before.
We're gonna teleport into their little party, aren't we?
We're gonna walk into them as they're leaving.
We need to go. I'm talking to this guy. You've mentioned being able to travel between the realms, yes?
And he nods and says, "Yes, that's what these circles are."
Which one gets us home?
And he points to one directly behind you.
How does it work? Do we just step on it?
And he nods and says, "Yes, you step on it. It will teleport you. It's going to bring you to the city of Kalido within the Shrine of Tyris."
Well, there's better places we could end up, but I suppose that's fine.
Pandora starts laughing.
Aranu, or Riley, goddamn it, he'll walk over and he'll kind of like shake hands with the guy and say thank you so much, and I'll be back because you guys have flying ships and I want one.
Thank you very much for accompanying me.
Rylan.
Yes.
You're going to see the groundwork for one of my glorious shrines to Kaifon if we made it to the shrine of Tyris.
Well, that's good.
And she laughs some more.
In the back of Ryland's head, that's probably not good. All right, I will boldly step through the portal or onto the thing, and then hopefully teleport.
I will go next.
I'll go after that guy.
I'm gonna look back and say, you all really need Kaifon in your lives. This place is interesting, but such a disappointment. And then she'll step through.
Okay. And as you do, so much stuff. One sec. I'm like opening like a million things on my screen. It's kind of ridiculous.
I cannot believe that worked.
I put it on a d20 roll. It was going to either fail or succeed, and it had to beat a 20 to get it. So,
oh, thank God.
It was destined. It had the opportunity to fail.
What was the d20 plus 8?
8 was his spellcasting ability.
Oh, damn.
Okay.
So it was an actual... Holy shit.
You step forward and you notice that there's a hidden pathway that has already been exposed, and you can make your way out of this small teleportation circle into the center of this chamber that you've never seen before. As you kind of look around, you notice up above, directly above the walkway here, which the walkway is kind of small and kind of a cramped area. You notice there's this mural to Tyris, and as you kind of look over this mural, it depicts, looking for the right thing here because that isn't the right one. One sec. There it is. The kind of mural here depicts Tyris, his head down, his hands resting upon the hilt of his greatsword, which is pointed to the ground below him. Surrounding him, several water elementals, each one kind of guarding and protecting the people. And then behind him, the 7 guardians. When you guys made it to Kalito the first time, you remember the giant columns that were in the shape of individuals that were standing in front of the prison?
Yes.
Those are the 7 guardians that are standing behind him. The same exact ones. And at the bottom of it, it says, Revered Tyris, let our hearts be kind and our swords strong. Pass judgment upon us, so that we may walk within the light that you shine from the eternal day.
Probably should leave this one be, Pandora.
DM, I have a question.
She was already in the middle of getting her paints and stuff out. She's like, are you sure?
Well, this one's of the actual one, and he was pretty stand-up.
Yes. No.
That's fair.
Am I existing? Like, am I still all together? Because I remember, like, Pandora's magic didn't really work in Eberron. Is my literal being still working?
Your literal being is still working.
Mr. Rylan, I don't feel so good.
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna...
The only difference is this time we don't care.
Pandora and Rylan, you notice that Azatora's sight has returned. You feel the power of the shard within you again. Pandora, you feel as though your shard is empty.
Oh no.
Are my parents out?
They've been eaten by the Dracolich.
As you
And they're not your parents anymore.
as you kind of discuss all of this amongst yourselves, you kind of look around, noticing the hallway to the south appears to be closed off, but you do notice a switch on the wall that would probably allow you passage, or you could head to the north to the room that kind of splits and goes to two different directions should you want to go that way.
Well, we absolutely need to find the heroes of the Empire, and hopefully they'll be around, because this is their big shot city.
And if we're lucky, we won't alert any guards this time. Maybe she
Well-
can access to more, I guess.
If we
What?
do, we can just say who we are, and we're technically all allied again, so Rylan will walk over and push the button.
And as you do, you notice that the pathway opens, leading to kind of an antechamber directly to the south that goes, as you exit, goes down a set of steps out into the open.
Excellent. Well, that was less troublesome than the last building we were in here.
As you reach the steps, Rylan, you too hear the sound, or feel the ground shake and the crackle through the sky, as similar to what the Empire side had witnessed.
I think we might want to put a rush on all of this.
What was that?
Nothing natural.
It's not common here in Toril?
Typically not.
Oh boy.
Also, the screams of the damned are... Well, actually, that is familiar.
And as you walk out,
These islands are pretty fucked up.
Is that
Oh,
news?
there's flowers over there. Shiny. Please tell me we fall into the other party.
as you make your way out, you find yourself standing here.
We're on different sides of the city.
Darn.
How... So with Ezator's sight, we can see other shard bearers, correct?
Yes, but it wouldn't extend long enough for you to see them.
Wall
Alright.
hacks.
Yeah,
Well,
no
little bit.
significant wall hacks.
That's fine. I'm gonna look for someone, like a guard.
Okay.
First order of business is we need to find that snake who sold us the... Because I'm just completely aware of his magical time travel and being in every place at once abilities. Let's find that merchant.
Screams of the damned, Pandora.
So currently, to put this into perspective, you have arrived back here moments after the Empire side had just left and made their way away and towards the king. So
Okay.
as that crackle, because that crackle was the same exact one they heard, that was literally, they rushed from there and went straight to the king, looking to try to find a way out and figure out what they were going to do. And that puts you at that timeline.
Nice.
And that's all based on math, because it could have been later, it could have been after that or before that, just depended on how much time, what the dice rolls were between the five of you.
Oh, well, nice.
Oh.
Yeah. That total was giving me an idea of how far back or possibly forward if there were crit fails. That was what I was going to depend that on.
I'm gonna look for a guard, or like just someone.
Immediately as you step out of the Shrine of Tyris, you do see a guard that's kind of making the rounds like normal. You do notice they are a little off-put seeing the four of you here, namely the first three, because Lorigus attempted to destroy the gate here to keep the guards from going to the prison.
And then there's also a middleman.
Sure. Nobody's mad about the defacing of the shrines, but the gate is what pisses them off.
The gate is their shrine.
The guards didn't see the defacing of the shrines, but the guards saw the Birdman trying to cause chaos for them.
That was a totally different Birdman.
Yeah,
Ryland's gonna go up to the guard, and he'll be like, "We signed a treaty. We're all working together.
Chris?
Where are the heroes of the Empire?"
Thank you so very much, Chris. Very much appreciate it. He kind of looks at you and just points, saying they went south. Why?
Did earthquake screams of torments and pains? Is that not putting you on edge at all?
And more
Ryland, that's just Tuesday.
He kind of looks at you and says, "Have you not witnessed the things that we have seen in this realm? Of course that puts me on edge, but I'm more on edge about the fact that you magically appear within my city."
Magic is a thing in this world, sir, and I think you just need to accept that it makes weird things happen.
Watch as he grabs for his sword. He grabs for his sword and points it right towards your throat and says, "I would watch my tongue if I was you."
I'm gonna walk up and like, "Hey, friends. We simply need to find them to make sure we have a plan of how to deal with the ever-looming threat of planar destruction."
I'm ready to destroy something.
He just points angrily, for a second keeping the sword to Ryland's throat, but then slowly lowers it and again points off more. Actually, that would be northwest because the map is upside down. So kind of points over in that direction.
Thank you. And then Ryland will push his sword away and then run.
Pandora will walk up to him, though. Patch number. I want your patch number. I'll be sure the king hears about the rude way you handled us during this armistice.
He kind of chuckles and says, "You have no power here."
You don't want to tempt fate like that.
She takes a moment to make sure that her magic is actually working.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "Are you certain?"
He looks at you and grins and says, "I stand by what I said, little girl."
Screams of the damned, Pandora. Screams of the damned.
Little girl. Damn.
Oh my lord.
Oh, Forge really wants me to do this.
Do it.
On the other side of the city.
No, you bastard!
What are the heroes of the Empire doing now that they have witnessed this craziness of this black cloud that's kind of expanding and this ripple through the world here?
No matter what you think, the real correct answer is to grab popcorn.
I would have asked.
Where did it start from?
It would have been to your southeast.
Keeping like the general area on the map.
From where you stand, it's more off in this direction.
Okay.
I would ask Eleonora what she thinks is going on, because she's more versed in this kind of stuff, I think.
She kind of shakes her head and says, I have no idea what that is.
Also, since we're away from the king, do you know who Tyris is?
She's like, I've been waiting to ask this whole time. She looks at you and kind of shakes her head and says, I know not of who Tyris is, no.
Do you want to know?
I don't think this is exactly the time.
Shut up, Cedric.
Don't ruin my moment.
She kind of looks at you and says, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Who is it?
Kai Gladamain. Or Stormhome. I don't know what his last name is.
It's
Gladamain.
She looks at you and says, that doesn't make any sense. Why would I can't process this right now. Listen, we've got to go. If we're going, we need to go.
I just think
now.
it's important that you know in case he tries to trick you.
Okay, thank you. I understand, but I don't see how this is helping right now.
Sorry, I was trying to be helpful.
He's definitely just like, this person's fucking delusional.
There's death portals in the sky, lady. I don't care about your divinity.
Is there a point, like, can I see if there's something in the sky? Can I, like, perceive there's something in the sky?
You can see what looks like a black mushroom cloud at the top without, like, the stem of the explosion, just the cloud on the top that just continues to expand wider and wider over the area to the south. But other than that, you're not really seeing anything. Everything is kind of off in the distance and is a very small speck over the corner of the mountain.
I don't, like, see any, like, life form inside it, or it's just, like, a cloud?
It is just a massive black cloud that is too far away for you to be able to distinguish anything from it.
Okay. Is the king okay? Is Mariel okay?
You take a peek back into the chambers. Yes, Mariel is fine. The king is fine. Freddy is preparing the king for his journey towards Stormhome Keep. Beyond that, everybody...
So, I don't suppose I know what could have caused it.
No? Why would you?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. No.
I'm a fighter. I'm no magic user.
The sounds, it's not... I mean, you've each experienced the undead, and this definitely sounds like the undead. But the shrill screeching sound, you have no clue what that is.
I have speak with dead, so if there's any dead around, I could ask them. I also have fly, so I could go fly up there.
It's hundreds of miles off. It's just a speck that is growing, and the ripple just managed to hit here.
Seems like a good omen.
Yeah, I mean, what can be wrong with that, right?
I can also talk to the plants.
Well, what could a plant have anything useful to say right now?
I don't know. No one else is saying anything.
It just repeats the word plant to you.
I'm a plant. It's like I am Groot, only I'm a plant.
I am a
Go on.
for a moment.
Okay, what are you doing?
No, it looks like it's far enough ways off that it's probably just best to. We need to get moving because it doesn't look like it was anywhere near the city. It's probably just something from far enough out that we can just see it from here.
Okay.
We can't do, like, an Arcana check or, like, a history check?
Nothing that would be able to tell you what this is, no.
Or a nature check or a perception check? Or a religion
No.
check?
Just roll all of them at the same time.
No, nothing that would be able to help you with what you're trying to find about this.
Ugh.
Where is Bingo's place on the map?
He would be over in the market section, over in this area.
Let's go.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else to do.
I also have the bag of beans, guys, so whenever we want, we can plant a bean.
Throw the beans at the portal.
A voice in your head tells you to come to the temple.
No, I'm kind of hoping in passing. We'll, like,
Yeah, I'm
go
kind of
right.
hoping that we'll like run into each other when they're going to the market.
Let's go to bingo!
Okay.
You're a giant bird man, Lorigus. We got good odds of standing out.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a race feature, actually. That's the funny part.
so I'll give you 300 feet of movement, and then the Alliance can do 300 feet of movement. Should they choose to.
So that seems to be about the farthest we can make it.
Mhm. So wherever you're going. Okay. Alliance party, 300 feet of movement.
Isn't Pandora about to, like, shoot the guard?
If that's what she wants to do.
And this is the gate.
Yeah, that's
Also,
your
how,
gate to the
how are
side.
people reacting to me? Or are they looking at me like I'm just a construct?
Sorry, I
They-
had to step away.
They are 100% looking at you like a construct.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just blend in.
There was something I wanted to do, Forge.
Okay.
So, since that guy was sizing her up, and now that she has her power back, and she's definitely feeling that rush again, she's going to look at him and she says, "You know, is there like a fountain or anything nearby?
No, there's no fountains in the area. There is like
Is there like a water trough for like horses or anything?"
as you get closer to the forge here, as you move there, you do notice that it's basically just an open air forge, and in the center of it is the troughs of water that they would use at a forge.
So she's going to look to the guard that was mouthing off to them and, more importantly, threaten Violet. And she's going to say, "You know, you've been working so hard. Why don't you take a dip and cool off?" And I cast Dominate Monster and tell him to go cool off. So he needs a DC 17 will save.
It's not a... Never mind.
No, or Dominate... Oh, sorry.
He's not.
That is... No, sorry. I thought that was Dominate Monster, which is the one that applies to everything. Well, shit, that ruins exactly what I wanted.
Do you have
Yeah,
suggestion?
No, but, I mean, this ruins that whole spell selection because I misread what it was.
Oh no.
Can I take a moment and check and see if Dominate Monster is a 4th level?
It's not.
Because
It's
that
not.
was okay. It's not okay.
No.
Then I'm not doing that because that was what I thought I had and
Okay.
I misread. So just
Okay.
disregard that moment of
Disregard it.
awesome.
It's fine. Okay.
That would have been funny, though.
All right.
It would have.
So you quickly rush off, trying to make your way over towards the direction where they were pointing to you. Empire side, where are you moving to?
We're heading to the market.
So about there, I think.
Okay. All right.
Can I fly up high and then try and make a perception check?
Sure. You can do double movement
Would
speed
there-
and perception check on this turn, yes.
Would I have like disadvantage or anything just because of how far it probably is?
You're a bird. You
You're
have keen eyes.
Bird with keen eyes. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Argus,
works
what
for
do
me.
your bird eyes see?
I'm just saying because my
That's
helm
600
also has.
feet away. I mean, I'll give it to you. It's fine.
Okay, let me find my freaking name thing I'm having.
It's daytime here. It's your name thing. I'd
Oh,
send the
there it
characters,
is.
yeah.
Eleanor's coming with us, right?
Mm-hmm.
I apparently do have dominate person.
Nice. Lorgus, as you fly up into the air and you start looking around, you start scanning, looking, and then you look over in the direction to the northwest, and you do see the Imperial group. And the thing that catches you, or catches your eye, is you see people running, where most of the people have kind of stopped after hearing the ripple, and they're kind of looking off to the south, back behind you. You see them running, and immediately as you kind of look, you kind of get a better look at them, and you do notice the individuals of the Empire side who were at the ceremony or the treaty signing.
All right. I'll quickly fly back down, tell them like in what direction, and then kind of lead the way to them.
You do, as you're watching, you do notice the path that they're running, and you notice they're running down the main path, which connects through a gateway here, and then can head over towards the market instead of going north up towards this gateway, which would be kind of an inconvenience because they're going upstairs and blah, blah, blah. So.
Pandora, do you have that sending spell?
I do.
Could you send to one of them and tell them to meet us at that gatehouse?
What's
And
the
she-
distance on that?
She smiled.
I believe it's just in the same plane.
It's within the same plane.
Yeah, you could.
The
she
limit
managed to send-
the limit is the amount of words I can send.
Yep. Okay. And that's what?
25 words.
25.
Yep. So she grins for a moment and she says, "One moment. Avalana, I'm sending you a message." Is she here to hear it?
6.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, a voice is going to invade your mind. Avalana, hello, it's Pandora. How are you? It's me and the rest of the Alliance. We're in the city. Hi. That's 25.
What about the meeting part?
Meet us at the gate. That was the whole point.
So I received that
I've
message.
never done this before.
So I received that message and I'm kind of bewildered. I look around and no one else is reacting. So I take it's like the Tyris thing again.
You also hear immediately after you can
do.
reply to this message.
And you do recognize the voice of Pandora, so you do know, and you can allow it to come through.
Yeah,
She's
the
able to
shard
respond.
the shard of twilight might prevent that.
Oh no!
Because it's kind of similar to scrying and getting into the mind of another individual.
It's up to you. I think.
Yeah,
You can play it either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you absolutely could.
Yeah. I think. I can't.
It's an evocation spell, so it's not really a divination that would do any kind of like invasive. So it's a real toss up. I would say it's up to your call, and I will go with it.
I'll have to say for this one, I have to reject it because of.
It makes sense.
If that was the case and they could communicate, then this whole time after you guys got your shards, Tyris would be just talking to you.
Yeah,
and constantly trying to get into
Hey,
your head, and you
asshole.
notice he can't do that anymore.
it's sound reasoning. I'm fine.
Lorigus,
But
get in
you
the
do
air
know
and
the
fly.
direction that they're running, so you know that you could try to head them off, but it would require you going to your east instead of to the west, so over in this direction.
Quick question: would Pandora still lose the spell slot, or?
She would still attempt to cast it, so yes, she would,
I still
she would
cast
lose,
it, so it's
yeah.
gone.
Yeah, she would lose the spell slot.
Lorigus, get in the air and try to head him off.
All right.
Shoot a laser at them to get their attention.
Or I can just go up to them and tell them to meet us at the gate.
We're gonna go to the far gate because they'll have gone by it at that point. But I'm sending Lorigus to the Empire team.
So Lorgus, I'm going to say, what is your movement speed?
It's 50 flying.
50 flying. So you can get.
Well, actually more than that. No, I think it's like 65 flying.
So I'm giving you guys 300 feet of movement. So what is that? An extra 20 per 30, right?
Yes.
So that would give you about. That would give you 500 feet of flying. So you could probably head them off. You could make it to here.
Oh shit! In that case, we'll just meet him over there.
Yeah, you can make it. If you start flying, you could make it to there would be the closest you could get to them.
I'm
You're
not
on a
seeing where
separate-
you're peeing.
Yeah, you're on a separate thing.
Oh, right. I'm hiding it. Sorry. You can make it to right here.
Okay, cool.
So the Empire side, as you guys are running forward, you do see Lorgas flying over in your direction and flying fast, trying to get over to you. Kind of catch you off guard because, you know, you haven't seen them in a while, and surprising that they're in the city. But he's able to kind of head you off as you're running and quickly try to get your attention.
Hello, friends. It's hard to explain, but we've come by, and hopefully you would like to meet the rest of us.
Where did you come from?
We'll explain when we formally meet up, but let's head to the gate, shall we?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Dorn,
It's totally not a trap.
I introduced Dorn to the Birdman, and I introduced the Birdman to Dorn,
Dorn, Birdman, Dorn.
because I don't think I ever really met Lorgus.
At about that time, as she starts introducing, you hear footsteps, running footsteps, coming down the embankment from the gatehouse, making their way towards you. Rylan and Dorn, you guys actually glance and see each other.
Oh, they got Dorn?
Dorn runs over and hugs him.
Am I missing something here?
What?
Pandora also stares.
I'm very confused.
So am I.
I have
Yes.
so many questions,
What's
and then I
going
look
on?
at Pandora and I'm like, this is fine. This is,
I
don't
remember
worry
the-
about it.
Hello,
Also, we have a
What?
robot now.
Who is that?
my name's Nock.
It's an incredibly long story. First, how are you guys doing?
No, first, how do you know Dorn?
It's the thing, we knew each other when we were children.
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 Stares intensifies.
Rylan, I have a question.
Oh my god, what?
What is a children?
Ugh.
It is about this time that the loud screech that you heard before, the shrill screech, is actually louder. And after a few moments, directly overhead, darkening the sky, you watch as a Dracolich flies overhead, heading northwest from your location.
Look, that's a Dracolich. You were talking about one of them.
Since when is there a Draco Lich?
Pandora's eyes go wide and says, Rylan, I have a job I need to do.
Yes, don't go anywhere, because we're not splitting up at this point. But yes, you do have to get that, and I have to kill it, and then maybe I'll start feeling... So, did you guys get my letter?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's keep moving and we can catch up.
Yeah,
We got somewhere we need to be right now.
Ask about Sky Tarnith.
That is so, like,
Did
on
you
the
save
last
me? Did you save me Sky Tarnith's head? And she looks to Avalon expectantly.
Oh.
Was I even told to save Skytarna's head?
No.
I wasn't allowed to keep his head. I'm so sorry.
Do you have anything of his? A finger, maybe?
Do I have anything of Skytarna's?
No, even I know that.
Do you have his soul?
Not even a scrap of clothing?
Did you happen to get his soul? It's very important.
I'm sorry.
Souls at sea.
No,
I
I
wasn't
think he
able
was...
to get anything for you.
All right, I'll forgive you this time. We have a Dracolich to go capture.
So let's do this.
There's... So...
Story time with Forge.
We should work together.
From where you were at, you looked from the city of Kalito, which was up here. And as you looked way, way down south, like in this direction, well past this island, it just off in the distance. That was where you had seen the circle and the ripple had come from, or that cloud. The dragon, or the Dracolich that you had seen, went in this direction and passed by the city, like almost did like it almost like buzzed the city. It flew down up and over the mountain and then flew and dove on over top of the city and then just continued north and is headed off in that direction and moving very fast.
That's concerning.
What is even to the north of us?
If only we had a magical boat.
So it was heading like in this area past the city, but I mean obviously it can turn and do whatever it wants, but that's the path that it was taking when it passed by.
So that's a problem.
Well, we weren't planning on fighting a dragon lich thing.
Lich.
We were planning on going and destroying world thingy.
The manifest.
Yeah, what Dorn said. So if
It's
you want to
literally in the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm. As you compare notes and they begin telling you about the manifest zone, both sides are like, yeah, of course, the manifest zone. And then you both kind of click and say, yeah, it's over by the shrine. And as you're kind of talking, and Eleanor kind of pipes up and kind of explains that the Shrine of Natar actually rests within the Forgotten Forest to the southwest. It's called the Forgotten Forest because when the death plague that originally cursed the islands and kind of spread, it started from there because that's where the manifest zone was. And ever since then, nobody goes to the Forgotten Forest. They leave it alone because it's just nothing but death. So they avoid it at all costs. Because of that, it's kind of allowed just whatever to happen in that area. The Shrine of Natar was put up by the followers, by his followers, the Scarlet Hand, and was created there. But even they're kind of like, they might not be able to do anything about this. If another death curse or another death plague spread, they couldn't stop it down there.
Huh.
Okay.
So
So,
a place filled with only death and destruction. All right, let's go there.
as much as I want to go chase down a Dracolich and kill it, I feel like that would be the more distracting of the options and surely cost us a lot of valuable time.
Yeah.
Here should be our main priority.
I'm itching to destroy something.
Yeah, he says that a lot, by the way. Just
Just
try-
ignore it.
Yeah, you just kind of have to.
Does it have a mute button?
No, we tried. Tried that a lot.
Okay, so what's the plan?
Well, Ryland says as he smirks, and he takes out his water medallion. I might be able to get us some transportation.
Oh,
Well-
dear Lord.
How?
Because I have a magical pendant.
Yeah, but like, what will it do? Is what I meant.
Do you have a ship?
I do have a ship.
I'm good with ships.
In Forge, I'm going to imagine those glorious ships from Eberron and how majestic and wonderful they are, how they flew through the air, and how there's nothing that Ryland has ever wanted more since he was a yay squire to one day fly on a ship in the air. And he holds his mighty water pendant as tightly as he can and tries to invoke the power that summons a vessel.
You look to your northeast from your location. From here, you can see the ocean just out, kind of a bit off from where you're at. As you're kind of looking, you notice that there's a road that leads from here over here that leads almost due north to a small coastal village, which is where the docks for the city of Kalido are. And from out there, you see the rotten mangrove pop up out in the water.
Damn it!
Whoa, that ship looks like a piece of crap.
You're right, it is.
Yep.
That's nothing compared to my old ship.
Don't worry, it's pretty much exactly based off of the person who owned it prior to me.
They sound like someone awful.
Pretty much, yeah.
I have a magical boat. That's
He was killed for trying to kill a king.
yeah. I have a
Who would-
magical boat. So
Also,
Who would attempt to kill
we
a
can
king?
sail
That's such a
on-
stupid idea.
I also have some things. I imagine that the both of you, Rylan and Cedric, you guys, I imagine, were spending time with these items that you were given, wearing them.
Yeah, basically I put it around my waist in its sheath.
I try snapping my fingers a couple of times.
Doesn't do very well, but you attempt it.
Well,
I'm trying to see if I can deal with this thing.
we already discussed going by boat, and you know it's too slow. So
It's a magical boat.
It's a magic.
does it magically go faster?
It can magically go really fast and under the water.
Okay, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know, right?
But you didn't like it because it was against everything that you wanted. So
Also, it's got
Not
cannons
to
on
like
it,
it.
and it's really cool. Anybody who would ever complain about cannons being on their ship
Oh
is
no,
full of
I
crap.
dealt with the cannons. I
Um,
just got rid of the other stuff.
So, Cedric, check under S for your item. Rylan, not Ren. Why did I say
Rez.
Rez?
Rin.
Same thing. Check under Gauntlet.
I see the picture, but no information.
Oh, because I put it in GM notes. Hold on. There you go.
That's pretty cool.
Mr. Cavalier.
I mean, I did kind of like bury the lead on the initial way I could have gotten a mount.
Suddenly, an airship appears out of nowhere.
No.
So,
That is also really cool.
those are your items, special items here for this. So are you taking the boat?
Yes.
Is that the plan? You're going to rush down to the boat and attempt to take that and make your way over.
Would it be faster to teleport there first?
No.
Oh yeah, we don't have enough people.
You don't have enough people because she couldn't be able to bring everybody.
Yeah.
So we're not going to bingo then.
Nope.
No point to at this moment.
Okay. All right, so before we go forward, we're at 10:30.
Or, what we could also do...
Hold on. We're at 10:30. I am willing to continue this to get you to combat, which is coming up. I would like to get you to combat. Because that means that you're in a place where the next session will be very interesting.
We're all done then.
We might be going forward.
Up to you. We can continue on, but I need to know what your hard limits are for going forward.
I have another hour before I would need to stop. Right now, when my new job starts, I can go for as long as needed.
Okay.
I am good for whenever.
I'm probably good for at least half an hour, but like an hour might be pushing it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat there.
Yep.
Okay. Well, then we won't take a 5-minute break. We will continue on. We will press forward and use this last half hour because that sounds like that's the maximum amount of time we'll get. And I'll at least set the scene, and then you can deal with everything else after. All right. So
are we still talking about ways of getting there?
I think
we know we're taking the ship.
The consensus is you're going to take the ship. You're going to get there as quickly as you can.
But guys, we should use the amulet.
I smack him.
I will walk. And I'll walk.
He's starting to be the worst pirate we've ever met.
Okay. You're not going to ever make it there in time. If you walk. Unless you're going to the boat.
At least he doesn't have to stop to rest.
I assume he meant walk to the boat.
Right?
Or did he?
No,
Snow.
to the boat.
To the boat, okay.
Oh.
Okay, so everybody quickly rushes to this boat that looks pretty weird. Has moss growing all over it. It's been repaired and looks better than what it did when they first found it again. Looks like it's been through hell, but as soon as you get aboard this, you feel this kind of magical presence around you, and as the boat begins to take off, you notice it starts to slowly sink under the water, and as it does, this almost like a wall of force covers the deck of the ship and protects anybody that's aboard the deck. And as it goes underwater, it just begins to just rocket through the water, just faster than anything you've ever experienced. Starts making its way around the islands. Are you going north or south, or west or east? Are you trying to go around over this way or this way?
Can we get back on
Yeah, can we get the map?
Oh, I thought I put you over there. I'm sorry.
Nope.
Also, imagine there's some poor terrified.
That would be why you guys
member.
couldn't see it. So you're at Toledo. You can go east or west.
I feel like if we go around the Sapphire Woodlands, that's more of a straight shot and less turns.
Okay.
It looks like I
kinda like that.
underestimated this ship. I must say that I have great respect for its owner and its.
That would be
ship
me,
itself.
yes.
It's
I mean,
pretty-
we could
Rylan,
just go under
Rylan
the
is
island,
the
couldn't we?
owner, so having respect for him is a wise move.
As you quickly make your way around the islands, you begin to surface as you get pretty close to the Forge Summit, like over in this area. So you could try to get an idea of where you're going to kind of dock. You don't see anything as you're getting closer and closer, but as you start to pull forward, your eyes kind of glance off to the east, kind of on the edge of your vision. You can see coming from the area on your map close to Crow's Nest Cove, several columns of like a brownish black colored smoke rolling through and up to the clouds above.
Does that look like smoke to me? Or something like that?
Yes, it's brownish black colored smoke.
That's probably not a good sign.
I ready my hands.
You're currently
Eleonora!
here.
You've been to Crow's Nest Cove. Do you know if they just have brown smoke sometimes?
She shakes her head and says, "No, that's whatever that is not natural."
Okay.
Can you adjust where the map is for the stream? It's showing off in the corner.
Thank you. So yeah, you're currently over here, and you notice over at Crow's Nest Cove here, there's some smoke rolling up towards the clouds. You can dock wherever you want, but you're going to have to do so out in water, which means you're going to have to take the smaller kind of boats, the little lifeboat kind of things, to take them to shore. Yeah, the little dinghies.
Okay.
So depending on where you want to go, are you wanting to go to Crow's Nest Cove, or are you wanting to continue on towards the shrine? Completely up to you.
I believe the riddle actually said to ignore it.
Yeah, we need to focus on Tyris.
But the riddle?
She's... yeah.
Did they have information they're not sharing with us?
What riddle do you speak of, Dorn? And you can tell Ryland's a little weirded out that Dorn's around.
Yeah, we should still hear the story about that.
Well,
Yes, we should.
I was
I'm gonna
entrusted
just,
with
like,
the relic, and it basically had this riddle inside of it that said to go to the Shrine of Natar. But it specifically said to ignore the crows.
Did it say anything else?
Yes, it did. Let me pull out my notes. Because I wrote it down somewhere.
I have it. I don't know if it's in the correct order, but I have it written down in my notes.
You guys had it in Discord.
Yeah, it's in Discord.
Ignore the water crows.
That sounds like Crow's Nest exactly.
There you go.
Eldritch Power, Pandora.
Eldritch blasts the portal.
Slip through the tunnel to a land no one knows. Reach the surface, search the woods ahead. This is here. Heading to the head. This altar is near. Here, the Eldritch power. Okay, well, I think I have an understanding of what this is looking for.
In the current immediate sort of circumstances, I think ignoring the water crows is indeed what we have to do.
Is there a tunnel coming up nearby?
I wonder if there might be one underwater, although I don't know why there would be, but...
As you approach land and you begin to take the small boats and bring it over towards the land here, you do notice a few miles off in the distance, you do see kind of like a beaten path that leads forward and towards the rock face at the south or the east. And as you kind of look in that direction and you see it, you do see what appears to be a very large opening that leads through the rocks.
It's also said that the relic is some sort of key that it'll activate when the time is right.
Well, you know magic more than me, so...
Yes.
I'll leave that one to you. So the little dinghies, I can't make a rocket through the water, so everybody get to paddling.
Yeah, so once you get there, you make it on land and kind of just keep the water or the boats pushed up to the ground there. You start making your way over. The tunnel itself is fairly narrow. There are several sections you have to kind of squeeze your way through, and it's almost all uphill, and it goes up for a good 6 or 7 miles as you kind of reach up, trying to make your way out of this tunnel. And as you do, you find yourself eventually on the other side of this rock formation, coming up through the ground and looking dead ahead onto this massive forest that the Alliance group looks very similar to the dead tree that you had seen in the City of the Dead, as you guys were watching the ceremony and they were pulling the leaves off of it, called the Leaves of Death.
Oh, we're in the right place.
Is there a place to step out?
As you kind of step out of the tunnel, there's enough room for you to kind of gather just on the outside. But as you kind of peer forward, your vision is super obscured. Everything around you, it's evening time. The sun's starting to set off into the distance a bit. It's not quite dim enough that it's affecting your vision, but as you look ahead, it is pitch black. You see nothing ahead. It's just darkness enveloping the entire area. Even the individuals with dark vision, everything is obscured in front of you.
Oh shit.
Well, they did say that domain was just nothing but darkness, so I'm willing to say that I think we found the spot.
It
Seems like it.
a good indication.
It seems like it.
I have candles. Can I light a candle? Because I don't carry torches.
As you walk forward and take this candle and it's lit, the light itself is faint. Like it's so dim that once it leaves outside of a 15-foot radius of you, it's gone. It's complete darkness.
To this point, I'm going
light on
to...
myself?
What's that?
I'll cast light on myself again.
And just like the other, this time as the light reaches out, it's completely dim except for that 15 feet radius around you.
This is awful. It's no good at all.
Also, I'm going to draw my scimitar.
Okay.
I'm gonna draw my rapier.
I'm gonna draw my feet.
Pandora's gonna draw her finger crossbows.
As you step forward, kind of heading into the darkness, everybody illuminating or bringing up these items to kind of illuminate your path ahead. You notice the darkness just seems to be sucking the life out of every torch and source of light around you. As you're stepping forward, you're noticing everything about this is weird. They're giant black, like inky colored crystals that surround the ground all around you. Some of them hiding in darkness, often kind of creating trip hazards as you're walking through. As you step in, you walk forward and you notice a statue of a man crumbled to the ground. And formerly it was in a very kind of arm outstretched, kind of pointing forward in this very heroic kind of pose, like his chest kind of puffed out a bit. However, it's completely been destroyed, save for everything from his chest up, which is laying on the ground and just kind of laying off to the side, and its hand still reaching forward, like the hand broken off of it, but the arm still reaching out.
Pointing to the dead.
His likeness is here.
Is it supposed to be Natar?
Give me a history check.
Anyone or just her?
Anyone who is looking to do this, if you are from the realm, you can do it with an advantage, but I don't think you're going to need it.
Well, there's that.
Okay. Everybody who has rolled on this, based on your knowledge of the realm itself, you very quickly notice this to be Natar Banathar, the warrior which helped the Living Isles to escape the tyranny of Raithis the Deathbringer, the former dragon that was kind of plaguing the realm during the Second Dragon Wars. You kind of take a moment and you start to feel your connection to Ezator is fading very slowly, almost to the point where it's not gone. It's still there. It still feels like it's there, but it's dull. It's not what it once was. Those of you with the shards of twilight, in the back of your head, you hear the voice of Ezator. It says, "The darkness which binds this zone lies ahead. My magic can guide you, and I can help you to stop the threat. But we cannot destroy the machinations of your enemy. You must travel within the darkness and use my powers to stop the Ascended." Who's leading the pack?
I will.
I imagine, yeah, it's
You
probably
said it
one
with
of the...
such confidence.
I imagine it's probably Ryland
Well-
or Cedric or...
Yeah, I mean, if Rylan wants to take the lead, he can,
Or
or...
we just send the rock.
Hold on,
first.
hold on. We can decide this. We'll do it by sword length. Whoever has the biggest sword is the leader.
He's got a scimitar, I got him beat.
Yeah, he does.
I was gonna say that's what they're calling it nowadays.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, okay.
Dear Lord. Big dick energy.
Rylan, you do notice that even though it's destroyed, it's obviously pointing in a direction that it wasn't originally pointing, based on the base of the statue and how that you kind of, if you kind of glance through it and kind of look over how it's standing there, you would think that it should be pointing more off towards your west, but instead it's leading more towards your northeast. As you kind of look forward, you begin to notice like the path ahead, it starts to go into a bit of a clearing. And One sec. This is what you see. Maybe. Let me move that over. Rin, thank you for the bits.
That's concerning.
Yeah, that's a little concerning.
Does Pandora recognize the soon-to-be dead men in the circle?
As you kind of look forward, I'll give you the full read-through of everything.
I feel like the 8 of us should probably be together.
I'll leave that up to you. Do you want to be together? Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'll put you together.
Although we could do flanking, but now whatever.
He's gonna start throwing fireballs because Ryland said that.
Yeah, probably.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, the thought crossed my mind that maybe it wasn't a good idea to stack the parties together, but that's fine. We'll leave this like it is.
Well, I mean,
Nope,
we were
nope.
just
Too
walking
late.
in
Nope, too
a
late.
plane of eternal darkness together, so I don't feel like we'd be like, okay, now we need to split it up.
As
for, like,
you
the
as
tricky-
you go forward and you look ahead, the path ahead kind of makes into a clearing. You start to see these various crystals all shattered and gathered together, though they're not like a bluish color, they're more of a black. I just didn't have any tokens for that. As you look forward, you see this altar, this black light inexplicably just glows and begins to radiate from around this platform. Up ahead, you see the individuals kind of gathered around. You see the black magic swirling around the platform itself. As you peek through the branches and the dead leaves and everything like that, you notice the cultist in the center walking forward, walking towards this man dressed in a highly decorative robe to the north, who quickly walks forward, reaching down to his side, grabbing a dagger, and immediately just slashing across the throat of this cultist, and then grabbing onto him and spinning him around and taking the dagger and then plunging it through his chest into where his heart is. The cultist falls just limp in his hand, and he's holding him like he's grabbing onto his uniform with one hand and holding the individual up, like without effort, just holding him. The blood just starts pouring, just gushing from his neck and from his chest wound. He withdraws the dagger from the chest and releases the body, and the lifeless body of the cultist collapses to the ground. The remaining cultists all around him begin to kneel, performing a ritual in the blood, making their patented logo or symbol that they make whenever they're performing their sacrifices, and continue making this seance. And as they do, you start to notice it's not only working, but it starts to get a little more darker across that section as kind of darkness starts to fade and cover the area itself, and it grows more and more as they're performing this seance. Every line as they complete it begins to pulse this negative energy, kind of shuddering the trees and leaves all around you, kind of making everything, as you look, the tree in front of you is slowly withering away every single second that they continue this. How would you like to proceed?
I cast Burning Hands.
Can I cast Shatter?
You have to be really close. If you don't mind, I might have
Well,
disrupt this.
first of all, I want to say the command word for my scimitar.
Okay.
I'm also going to say the command word for my gauntlet.
I say for Kron.
The dagger just comes flying out of fucking who knows where.
Can I cast Shatter?
Oh, someone moved the big blackness.
Oh, in reality, wait, okay. Alright. Here's what I'm check it.
You
Are-
can,
are
I'm
we-
gonna cast
are-
okay. So
Wall of Stone right between them.
hold on. So here's the problem. This is why I asked how long you guys are wanting to run, because we are now at the point where combat is going to extend for a while. This is not going to be an easy fight. So we're going to have to end the session here, and then we'll pick it up in 2 weeks and see how you guys react to it.
Oh,
I
boy.
wanted to cast Black Tentacles.
You totally still can.
You totally still can in 2 weeks.
I have so many spells that I've been sitting on for like 2 months now, going on 3. I just want to kill things.
I know. So much story. And I was trying to get you here, but things were getting slowed down. People were taking time, and it was hard to get everybody to do things. I'm sorry. I wish you got combat
I blame
tonight.
Sky
Sorry.
Tarnith.
God damn, no, we
I
I
wanted you to have,
I too blame Sky Tarnith.
I wanted you to have combat tonight, but
It's okay. We forgive you. Like, what?
Next time.
Big round of applause for our great DM, everybody.
Applause.
I would applaud, but I can't hold down the button
Yeah,
at the
me
same
either.
time.
So just pretend
I'm on
that.
push and talk.
And now,
No, hold on. There we go.
now shit's about to get real very quickly.
All right. First, I'd like to point out time travel in D&D. Like, holy shit.
I was trying to find a way to justify it. And
I think it worked.
The way I justified it was knowing that one thing or another was going to happen. The Empire party was going to come down here and walk into this and die immediately because these guys are badasses. Or
I don't know. I used to have a whole jar full of their eyes.
Oh yeah, what happened to that?
You had cultists, you're right.
I gave
but
those to Kaifon.
Oh yeah.
that
Fun.
uncaring individual that just literally slashed the throat of the cultist and jabbed him in the chest with the dagger. Just, I mean, that's not terrifying at all.
I think I could take him.
That's a Tuesday for Pandora.
We got this.
But in 2 weeks, y'all better be ready because lots of combat. That's all that's coming up in the entire session because this is going to start it and then you continue and not going to stop. So,
good.
I mean, this is the end game, so
it is.
I want to use my bag of beans.
I know.
just
But
throw
see,
it
so-
Yeah.
die.
So the problem is I had to build it up I had to build the story up to get you to this, because I know everything coming up ahead. There is no story to it. I'm okay. I take that back. There's story to it, but there is a shit ton of combat, and that's all you're going to be doing for at least the next 2 sessions. And then once I do the recap stuff, that's back to story. But for those 2 sessions, that's it. It's all combat from here on out.
And these 2 sessions are the end of the main campaign,
They
right?
are.
Man.
Yes, they are.
We're gonna start a new campaign afterwards, right?
Yes, we are.
Woo!
So, that will end our session tonight.
All right.
Well, that worked out.
All right. Thank you, DM.
Thank you guys. And give me a minute. I'm going to go and say bye to stream, shut that down. And then once I'm done, I will come back here and we'll talk some more if you guys want to talk. Okay. So much stuff, man. Okay, let's see who's online. We should go say hi to. I think Welcome Party is on. Yeah, they're definitely on. Let's go over there. They're playing the Vampire Slayer, Ruby the Vampire Slayer game. So we'll go say hi to them. Thank you guys for being here. Let me drop it back here. In case you missed it earlier, don't forget Fate's going to be here tomorrow at 10:30. We'll be back here for D&D replay on Friday. Lots of stuff going on. Make sure you tune in. 2 weeks from now, this very stream is about to get insane. I hope you tune in for that because it's going to just, I don't even know how to explain it. chaos is what's about to happen. So tune in. I will see you then. In the meantime, go over to Welcome Party. Go say hi to them. We love them very much. We hope they're having a great stream. And I will see you guys on Sunday for Ascension. Have a good night.